Hello everyone. I'm going to show you how to use Krystenax to farm souls in Gems of Wars very quickly. Now Krystenax is one of my favorite troops in the game. First of all, he's very powerful. His spell deals a large amount of damage to all enemies, and at the same time he is able to remove an entire gem color with that spell. And if that wasn't enough, that's already plenty. But his spell also summons a silver draken. And his traits are pretty decent as well. He has a 50% skull damage reduction, which makes him a pretty decent troop to have in the front. Um, Although I would never put him in the front because he's the most important troop on the team, so I don't want him to die prematurely. So the way the team works is and I do this for actually all my Kristen Axe teams basically. Um, I have Kristen Axe somewhere in the middle. Actually, I'm going to move him down a little bit because he doesn't need to be second in this case. Um, and then I have Valkyrie somewhere under him, let's say. Again, it doesn't really matter the order of these, and you may want to change them based on who you're fighting. So if you're fighting Corvash, you want to make sure that Krystenax is not in one of the first two rows. If you're fighting Kraken, you want to make sure that he's not in one of the last two rows. Um, Otherwise, it doesn't really make a big difference as long as he is not first. So Valkyrie is the other important troop here, and she serves the dual purpose of generating mana for Krystenax. She generates blue mana, and at the same time, she is the soul gainer of the team. Now, even just alone, gaining 10 souls per spellcast for Valkyrie is pretty darn good. But we're further going to multiply that by 2 by having 2 troops with a necromancy trait. In this case I'm using Kerberos, but really any troop with a necromancy trait could work in this team. Although you don't want those necromancy troops to be interfering with the mana colors of Krystenax and Valkyrie, so you basically should be choosing a troop with necromancy that's using either brown or purple mana, or both. So there's really not that many of those. But in case you don't have Kerberos, you can also use Zombie or Sacrifice, which almost everyone's going to have. Alternatively to Kerberos, you can also use Keeper of Souls, who is also a brown-purple troop and is fairly strong. I don't really find that their abilities are particularly useful. I suppose Keeper of Souls might be slightly better than Kerberos, but I don't have them leveled up. And for your banner, I prefer to use the sword banner. That's not necessarily the perfect choice, but I think it's, in my opinion, I think this is the best choice because this allows you to focus on getting yellow mana for Valkyrie, which will help her power up Krystenax faster with the blue mana. Valkyrie also provides a bonus to blue mana as her third trait, so that means that blue mana gives you 5 by default, and yellow mana gives you 4. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'll do a few battles to show how this all works. So this week we have an event for killing Raksha type troops in PvP and Explore, so I'll just go ahead and do some Explore battles, which will be a little bit more consistent. We'll do them in Pride Land since there tend to be Raksha there. Okay, there's one Raksha. So one thing you'll notice right away is that the soul limit for the fight is now 80 instead of 40. That's again because of the necromancy skill. This not only increases the souls that you get whenever you get souls from any source, it also increases the maximum souls you can get from a fight, which is very helpful for bigger fights especially. Okay, so the general strategy here is again, we go for yellow and red mana. Although if there happens to be a 4 or 5 match, then of course we'll take it.
Mana surge.
Now we'll be focusing on yellow and red mana. Remember, yellow is 4 and red is 3. And Valkyrie, her spell requires 10 mana. So that means we can do a single 4 and a double 3. So oftentimes a yellow match and a red match is enough to power her spell. And of course we should always be looking for combos if we can, but not taking too much time to do so for the sake of efficiency. So I'll just go ahead and get started here.
Mana surge.
Great. We got our 7 already, so we just need another red. So for the most part it really just takes 2 matches to power Valkyrie. And we're already well on our way to powering Krystenax's Bejeweled spell. Again, we'll take the 4 match. We always want to take 4 matches so we don't give them up to our enemy, which basically causes the enemy turn to take longer, which we don't want. And we'll just do any rolled red match, it doesn't matter which. Although we'll take this one because this will give us blue
Mana
as well.
surge. Mana surge.
Great. Now we've got both of our primary spells charged, and we really don't care about Kerberos' spell. We're never going to use it. They're just there to tank and to double the amount of souls we're getting. Okay, that was rather a long turn for the AI. Now we get to use Kristen Axe to do, and typically for this level of fight, it only takes about 2 Kristen Axe casts. Looks like here it'll take 3 perhaps, with Famine being in play. Of course, it depends on the difficulty level you're playing at. I'm playing on Warlord 1 at the moment, which I find is a good balance between difficulty of the fight and increased rewards, which is about another 1x to the soul multiplier. And when we use Kristen Axe, we usually want to target the 2 colors we don't want, which is brown and purple, but that's not always the case. It depends on the situation. Here brown is a great choice because there's a decent number of them to give Kristen Axe's spell a decent boost at a 2 to 1. That'll get us closer to 20. And the brown will also give us the yellow mana cascade right away. Although in this case it doesn't really matter because we're already powered up with Valkyrie. Alright, so after we do that, we want to recharge Kristen Axe and use a Valkyrie to generate the souls at the same time for a very nice synergy. This is a convergence spell, so we're looking to pick a color that will give us as much blue as possible, preferably with a 4 or 5 match. And I'm not seeing any, so we'll take whichever one gives us the most blue, which seems to be red. Now, of course, we always want to prioritize blue, the colors that we're not using to remove, which is again purple or brown. But neither of those would. Okay, well, yeah, neither of those would work very well. So I'm just going to go with red in this instance. Oh, and that does give us a 5 match. I did notice. Okay, great. So now we can immediately use Kristen Axe again. Now I'm talking a lot, but normally this would go very quickly. We'll get rid of purple, let's say. There's quite a lot of purple on the board since we did brown last time. You often end up alternating between the 2 colors. Oh, and that immediately charged Kristen Axe again. So right now, I can basically go ahead and end the game by casting it again on the brown with a Skull Cascade that will make sure to kill Famine. Now, we only used Valkyrie once, but that still gave us or it's going to give us a total of 28 souls already.
Mana surge.
That's it. Depending on your soul multiplier, you'll get an even bigger amount at the end. In my case, it's 81. Oh, look, and we got an Arcane Rage Trade Stone. Very nice. Alright, let's try that one more time. Which, by the way, also enchants Krystenax, which helps him gain 2 mana per turn, which can help, but obviously isn't a priority. There's no yellow or red matches on the board, so we'll be looking to do something that will perhaps help us get a yellow or red match, which I'm not seeing any opportunities for. So I guess we'll just default to blue or green to charge up Krystenax at least a little bit. Oh, there we go. That worked out well, by chance. Still nothing interesting to do here. So we'll go ahead and I guess just take the skull. There's not really anything to do right now. I'm not getting very lucky here. Okay.
Mana surge.
There we go. Now, I had the opportunity to use to get a 4 match with the brown, but there's really no point because what would that get us? Just another turn. Better would be to just use Krystenax on the brown. That'd give us an extra 2 damage and get rid of the brown just the same. Okay, and now we still don't have a yellow to finish up Valkyrie. I guess we'll just chance it and go with red. Well, didn't work out, but we'll just finish it off next turn. If you don't overthink it, then the time it takes to do this ends up not mattering so much. Okay, now that we've got Valkyrie charged up, oh, and he's using one of my other. The AI here is using Green Seer, which I also like to use in my non-soul farming team with Kristen Axe. Okay, so this time we can make lots of matches for blue, and we'll just go with this one, purple. One of the 2 colors we don't want. Get lots of blue mana set up. And we'll take the 4 match for red. And we'll take this one for yellow as well. Since we keep getting extra turns for it, we'll charge up Valkyrie and use Valkyrie again. And this time basically it's time efficient to do this. So we might as well choose again purple, giving us yet another extra turn. And 20 more souls. And then we will perhaps finish up Krystenax. Though we were off by 1 there, but that's okay. We can just
Mana surge.
finish the round with a skull match. Whenever we get control back from the AI. That was a much more typical round where we get 48 for 2 Valkyrie casts. It's plenty of souls with a decent multiplier. Take our mastery. I like to keep them even. Doesn't really matter all that much though at this point. Alright, let's try that again. Hopefully faster this time. I will be probably talking a bit less to give you a sense of how quickly this really does go.
Mana surge.
Looking for blues here and not really finding any to use Valkyrie with. Oh well.
Mana surge.
Still not much health. Ah, there we go.
Mana surge.
Guess I'll just go straight to it this round. It's not worth it trying to get another Valkyrie cast at this point.
Mana surge.
Since you're still getting 4 souls from destroying the enemy troops, there's really not that big of a difference between a single Valkyrie cast and 2 Valkyrie casts. So in a situation like that, you want to kind of do whatever ends up being the most efficient, which in that case is just to end the fight. And you can cast Valkyrie about 3 or maybe even 4 times, although the 4th time doesn't get you much to max out your souls.
Mana surge.
Now green is another color I like to use if brown or purple don't work so well. So for example here green will give us a 4 match, which might end up being better. Let's see. Maybe not in this case. No, not so much in this case.
Mana surge.
Since green mana does get used for Krystenax here, but it's only worth 3 as opposed to 5, so we won't prioritize green mana as much.
Mana surge.
A holy shield to protect us.
Mana surge.
Once again, green didn't work out all that well for us here.
Mana surge.
That's
Mana
okay.
surge.
Not a big difference. Another arcane trade stone. We are getting at least lucky in terms of trade stones here. Alright, one more explore battle, then we'll try this in PvP.
Mana surge. Mana surge. Mana surge.
Great, got both of them charged. Now you want to start looking for matches while it's still the opponent's turn, in order to save time. Keep in mind that the board really only changes in parts, not not the entire board. So you really only have to pay attention where the opponent's matches are going, and then just, figure out what the difference is.
Mana
That would make it a
surge.
lot easier to find matches.
Mana surge.
Here we go. It was a quick fight, as they typically would be. Okay, let's try a PvP fight now. So all I'm really concerned about is seeing a Kraken at this point, in which case I might want to move up Kristen Axe a slot. And I do want to be a little bit more careful in PvP, as it does tend to be harder.
Mana surge.
Now in PvP, a good strategy tends to be to just give the skulls to your opponent, especially if you have a strong tank and the opponent has a weak attack. In this case, they actually have a strong attack, so I really should be careful. Otherwise, I'll run out of Kerberoses pretty quickly here.
Mana surge.
Now, one thing to note is that when you only have 2 mana left on Krystenax, you can also match a purple, because the purple will give him enchant, which gives him 2 mana the next round as an alternative. But we don't need to make use of that at this time. Okay, that worked out. Gives us an extra green match there.
Mana surge.
But it sets him up
Mana
for the red. That's not
surge.
good. The war is pretty dangerous. Hopefully we can get rid of him before he manages to get the spell ready.
Mana surge. Mana
I
surge.
think we will be able to do that. Just to be on the safe side, let's get rid of Brown and get the skull match. Oh, no, I guess it didn't matter. It's too well protected. See, notice how Krystenax just summoned Draken right there, which is a great cannon fodder as well. Not particularly strong, but still serves as another buffer. And with the amount, the frequency that Krystenax casts, it's rather quite effective as a defense as well. On top of, in case it ever gets down to him, he only takes half damage from skulls. Alright.
Mana surge.
Always looking for those cascades. Just give him the skull there, intentionally.
Mana surge. Mana surge.
Decisions. Still quite a ways left in the fight, so I don't want to deprive myself of mana. Guess we'll just do Brown. There we have another Draken now. Which, now that we got rid of war, isn't going to die quite so quickly.
surge.
A nice cascade there. And at this point, let's go ahead and take the yellow.
Mana surge.
Lots of blue. Fair exchange. Keep bumping Valkyrie for maybe one more round. That'll max out our souls here, if we manage to do that. Let's see. Now if I get green, I'll get red from the cascade. Oops. Oh well, that ended faster than I expected, but it's only a difference of 12, which is not a big deal. Alright, let's try a few more PvP fights here. This should be an easy one, hopefully. Yeah, might just be slightly annoying with all the goblins taking potentially many turns in a row, but we have a pretty big buffer. It's not really a concern.
Mana surge.
Oops, just gave him a match there. I shouldn't have done that.
Mana surge. Mana surge.
You try to avoid giving your opponent 4 or 5 matches like I just did, if possible, but then again,
Mana surge.
you don't want to waste too much time thinking about that. Unless it's a Guild Wars fight or something. Let's see, for blues, okay, let's do greens here.
Mana surge.
And brown's the obvious choice. We're going browns right now.
Mana surge. Mana surge.
Got Valk again already. The purple's all lined up.
Mana surge.
Oh, there's another blue cascade. We can get off of that. Okay.
Mana surge. Mana surge. Mana surge.
Oops. Didn't see that one.
Mana surge.
It's all cannon fodder up here. No yellows or reds, fine. Alright, instead of Valkyrie here, we'll this yellow cascade. For the last cast, should give us another 60. Let's see here. Now, at this point it doesn't matter, since we know it's going to be our last cast, we can choose anything, like red, which will give us lots of blue.
Mana surge.
More than
Mana
enough, in fact.
surge.
And we're done now. And that is how you farm souls with Krystenax. Now, just very briefly, I'll demonstrate. Oops, didn't mean to exit there. I'll demonstrate my non-soul farming team with Krystenax. That's not it. It's this one. Very, very similar. The difference is that instead of Kerberos, we have a green seer in last place. This is important. In addition to having Valkyrie give you blue mana, you can also have green seer as a secondary sort of sink for yellow mana when you're trying to pump Valkyrie, or purple mana when you're taking that purple for Krystenax's Krystenax's enchant. effect, then you can also generate green mana for Kristen Axe as well using Green Seer. And then in the front, I just have Golem as a tank because brown is the only color that is left. I think Golem might be the best brown only color because it's also has Stone Skin 50% reduction, so now you basically have two troops with 50% reduction in the front. The main issue with this is that if you're going to take on Corvash, oh, this team has Corvash and Knight Coronet, then you really should. Okay, wow, this team has. This is a scary one. He's got Kraken, Corvash, so he basically has all the locations covered. So there's really no slot is safe. So I guess there's no reason to move Krystenax in this case. He's going to be equally at risk. So we really just want to try to not give the opponent an opportunity to cast, which is fine. With this team, you can do that rather effectively by just converting selecting the correct mana color to give you extra turns over and over.
Mana surge.
So
Mana surge.
already started the first turn. We have charged our Valkyrie. Hopefully we can now keep going a streak of extra turns. But yep, okay, so we've got our purple here. Most of the time you do have an opportunity like that. That's the exception when you don't. So didn't give us quite enough mana, so we'll have to generate one more here. We're gonna look for a Cascade. Don't see a Cascade opportunity really. Oh, there's one small.
Mana surge.
Probably pointless to have done that since we're gonna eliminate brown anyway. Yeah.
Mana surge.
Not a lot of mana opportunities here. I'll do that just to line up the yellow.
Mana surge. Mana surge. Mana surge.
It's nice that he's got Knight Coronet first, targeting my two least important troops. I'm not sure why I'm being so indecisive here.
Mana surge.
Apologize.
Mana surge.
He's got Corvash charged up. It's a little scary. But the AI will take skulls if he sees them, so that gives us an additional buffer if we just leave skulls out for him. Still not seeing yellow or blue. That's unfortunate. Or purple even.
Mana surge.
Usually unlucky in the situation we have here. Okay, so we basically can't allow him to cast again, which is fine, since we really just need one more cast from Kristen Axe. And, you know, when you get the, you want to try to always synergize as much as you can, so if you're targeting, you know, red or yellow, and you see an opportunity to cascade or double to combo blue or green, then you might as well take it. Since we only need one more cast, I'm going to eliminate yellow. We're not going to need it again.
Mana surge.
Charge up
Mana
Kristen Axe.
surge.
And we'll take red just to make sure the skull match at the end.
Mana
Not that it mattered in that
surge.
case. Now we did not get an opportunity to use Green Seer in this case, so let's try a few more. As you can see, even if you have Green Seer, you usually don't need her. But on occasion you do, or at least on occasion she is useful. So if you don't care about souls and you just want to fight as effectively as possible, Green Seer is nice to have on this team. By effectively, I mean as fast as possible, really, since this team is not necessarily the most powerful team. If you're looking for guaranteed wins, this team is just a very time-efficient team. And you still do get souls for Valkyrie, of course, just not quite so many that you would with 2 Kerberoses or whatever else doubling it for you.
Mana Surge.
And by the way, since we're not farming souls right now, we can actually prioritize blue and green mana to some extent, rather than going always for yellow and red.
Mana Surge. Mana Surge. Mana Surge.
And you can see how, actually, if you get lucky, it only takes 2 blue matches, regular 3 matches, to fully charge Krystenax, because a Mana Surge 3 match of blue is worth 8. See how I decided to get rid of yellow, because I knew that would immediately give us a bunch of mana for Krystenax again. No blues. Alright. Oh, we got lucky. Although, no, it's still not enough. Okay, since we're in this situation and we know the enchant is going to give us Krystenax anyway, we won't waste our time on that. Instead, we'll look for yellow or red. There's no yellow, so we'll take the red.
Mana Surge. Mana Surge. Mana Surge.
Plus, there we go. Now we did get lucky, and we've got the Seer and Valkyrie charged up. Everyone's charged, so we should be able to get several, well, maybe several turns in a row. Maybe not. I guess this won't give us anything with the round. That's okay.
Mana Surge.
No problem.
Mana Surge. Mana Surge.
I think I'll take the blue, because that'll give us another turn.
Mana
And more Valkyrie. Of course, now we have no blue to use it with, but we have plenty of green. And the nice, other nice thing about Green Seer is that she will, her spell also entangles, so sometimes this, in some situations, can help you prevent taking damage. I guess we'll use, if you can, you might as well use the Valkyrie. At this point, even though we could just use Krystenax and end the turn. If you care about souls, then hey, why not? Always get them when it's easy. Especially if it gives you an extra turn. In this case. Yeah,
Mana Surge.
there, so we had a fight where Green Seer actually did get some playtime. Alright, so if you're lucky enough to own a Krystenax, now you know how to use him. Or at least one way of how to use him. Hope you all found that informative, and if you have any suggestions, criticism, or whatever, feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching.